more so like trying to get forgiveness from us, but it was no forgiveness to be given.
In true New York fashion, a group of Queens residents came to the rescue for that 13-year-old girl when they found that suspect.
Police say he is the man who raped a 13-year-old girl in Casino Park last week. Residents there recognized him from the neighborhood.
Boom. He comes, we caught him. Spot him, got him.
I would like to give it up for the residents of Queens who took it in their own hands.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I really do. And I'd like to give it up for the police for not like charging the people with kidnapping or something like that for holding on to it.
That would have been a bad look for them. That would have been a huge bad look for them. You know what I mean? They literally doing their job for them. And then if they threw charges on the community for that, that would have been a horrible look.
Look, I'm just looking for my freedom. Freedom? Yes, sir. Well, where the hell you been, in the cave? Yes, sir, right back yonder. Oh, man, look, you must be from the South, man. Brothers up here don't act like that.
Happy Juneteenth.
Yeah. It's a whole holiday built around, oh, we forgot to tell them.
Yeah. But that was a sign of the time. See, back then they didn't have, Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure the news would have gone out pretty quick if they had social media.
Oh, they would have trying to spread that news.
Yeah, somebody would have got shut down. This is fake news.
It's fake news. Fake news.
They would have tore that up.
Fake news.
He didn't have that.
This is your money?
Yes, I heard him crumble it up. Thank you. Thank you. All that's been recorded, right? That's my money. That's my money right there.
Sir, you've been watching me that whole time.
I seen you take it. I seen you crumble
Sir,
it.
that is not me.
If I'm right, it's going to be around $1,000 if I'm right. And like I told you, I just went to Wendy's. I seen you still.
No, sir.
They wouldn't even let him give away the money to the people he was with. He was trying to say, look, let them take the money. And this same guy was like, nah, we're going to make sure nothing happens to it. And ends up being the exact guy that takes it. Like you said, how can I trust the person if the person is telling me they're the person to trust? And by telling me that is making it so that they can do something that I can't trust. Like, it's so backwards.
Dude's an asshole for that. I mean, straight up.
Stuff like this too much, yo. This is very dangerous. Without the cameras, like, this guy would have, it's a good thing he didn't wild out. Because they probably would have heard him, beat him up, all types of stuff. He was as composed as anybody could be in that situation.
And like I told you, I just went to Wendy's. I seen you still.
No, sir.
If you don't mind, I just want to sit down so y'all don't try to say I'm resistant. I don't want to do nothing. All I know for a fact is I know what I know and I've seen it. I just wanted you guys to trust me. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was just acting a little.
Okay, let's talk
send his ass to jail for stealing. That's what your police.
That's what he just did. Yeah,
go to jail.
It was attempted theft. That's what it was.
The reason why I say this is because the guy who you just stole from has not had his day in court, so he's still innocent until proven guilty. Right?
True.
You just got caught. There's no court for you. We already know. I mean, you're going to go to court. But why are you above that standard when you're the one rolling around arresting people? This guy's still innocent.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
They don't have to. You said I'm not black if I don't vote for Joe Biden. I didn't, and I'm still black. So
I'm just saying, it was a presidential statement, and he said you're not black if you don't vote for Joe Biden. So I go straight to First National, apply for a loan.
Yeah, because I'm no longer black. So the U.S. has its own problems. The next person that we have up is going to inherit problems from administrations.
At this point, it ain't about this motherfucker to get elected. It's about the staff he bring with him.
Exactly.
She will be a historic president, the first woman president at a moment when women's rights are under assault in this country. She is a prosecutor running against a felon. And so in so many ways, she meets this moment. She is.
Let's just put the felon situation to bed. Oh, no, let's not even do it. Let's not even do it. Because everybody knows you do not have to have a clean record to be the president. You just have to be over 35 and born in the U.S. And if enough people like you, you could be an asshole. So it is. This is
very true. This is true.
But you can't work at Dollar General, though, because you got criminal.
Isn't that crazy?
A study that was done by the CIA, an experiment rather, where they sat a bunch of people in a room. 17 of them were agents, and one of them was from the public, but he didn't know that he was the only person that wasn't an agent. Yep. And they held up a picture of a triangle, and they went around the room, and they said, what do you see? And every agent, went through them first, and they said, square, 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 square. It was clearly a triangle, square, 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 square. They get to that last guy, and he says, square, knowing fully that he is seeing a triangle.
You have a warrant, and they're going to confirm it.
Are you about to take me to jail?
Probably.
This is not fair.
This isn't like a bartering thing. That's
I'm not trying to barter with you.
Stop talking.
They were looking.
Please, for me, shut the fuck up.
I'm going to swim home right now.
Okay, well, I'm going to follow you. No, if you go in there, it's worse. Come here.
Stop, please.
Agent, I'm not doing. I'm staying right here. I'll help you if you don't give me your fucking password to your phone. Give it to me.
Stop.
Give it to me.
Turn around and talk to her.
Give it to me.
I'm sorry.
I understand this is emotional, but you're literally making it so much worse than it has to be, and I don't get it. And now she's going to be very upset with you, and it's just not worth it. I don't get it.
That nigga was taking that browser history to the grave.
No, it ain't even browser history. That nigga got another girlfriend. That's what it is.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not going to jail.
Like I said,
I'm not giving her that password.
See,
but my question is this. What gave this girlfriend of his the druthers to think this is a good time to ask for his password?
She needed to call his job to tell them that he was going to be late or like not come in or something. The job number was in his phone. And I would have been like, Google it, bitch. Like,
what are you hearing? Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And let me tell you, as they say, they not like us.
She jumped on the BET Awards and basically did some pandering to the higher panderishness of panderism, right?
No, just...
Yeah, girl, I'm out here on these streets. What the hell?
I felt a certain type of way. She said she was out here in them streets, though. That's what she said. To Taraji P. Henson, this is our vice president.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. She's supposed to be the next best thing.
Tensions flared because Ross exited the stage to a Kendrick Lamar song, dissing Canadian artist Drake. Vancouver police say they were not called to the scene.
They were talking cash shit. They were like quoting his songs like, yeah, every day we hustling, huh? You're like that kind of stuff. Like they really were antagonizing this man. But he came down, there were like, maybe 3 or 4 security guys. And this is a crowd of a few thousand people. So if the crowd gets out of line, there's really nothing you can do. Like, they want to blame his security. I blame more the event security because they shouldn't have let them people get that close anyway.
I blame the program director, yo. You should, this is when you start believing your own shit too much, though.
Yeah.
Ain't Diddy his manager?
I don't know.
Ain't Diddy Rick Ross's manager?
I don't know. I had to look that one up.
Somebody ain't call Rick and say, hey, don't play that. They like that shit.
Did you know how badly it was going?
Yeah, look. The whole way I prepared, nobody's fault mine. Nobody's fault but mine. I prepared what I usually would do, sitting down, as I did come back with foreign leaders or the National Security Council for explicit detail. And I realized about partway through that, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down at 10 points before the debate, 9 now or whatever the hell it is. The fact of the matter is that what I looked at is that he also lied 28 times. The way the debate ran, not my fault, no one else's fault. No one else's fault.
But it seemed like you were having trouble from the first question in, even before he spoke.
Well, I just had a bad night.
Is it legal for nudity to be presented in front of kids?
Nudity is legal, yeah, within certain boundaries.
But then what are the boundaries, do you know?
Coupled with a lewd act. Yeah, anything coupled with a lewd act or anything being done for sexual gratification that involves other people. Basically.
Okay, but this event wouldn't be considered for sexual gratification.
No, if they're walking around and it's out, that's right. That'd be different than if they're masturbating.
So you can walk around butt naked in the middle of the street legally and with kids around?
Yes.
Like even if there's a school nearby, like there's no.
I don't know about the proximity. I don't know about no. I'm gonna say this. I don't know about the proximity to a school, but those officers were right because I don't know if you've been to Times Square lately, but they are straight up butt-ass naked people walking around. It's the truth.
What's happening, y'all? It is time to purge again. Yes, I see y'all in the chat early. Who we got in here today, man? Who we got in here today? Y'all put a thumbs up in there. We got Al Bond in the chat. I see we got Gad in the chat. Because we have another Purge the BS. Now, of course, we're going to get into our SEO topic, which is, of course, what they've been telling us lately about resegregation, okay? And we're gonna dig into that a little bit. I think we need to talk about it, okay? But before we get into all that serious shit, you know I like to have a little fun like the Purge the BS, right? So because we are here, because you are here, and because some people are new here, as always, we must give them the disclaimer. Please stand by.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of another purge of the BS, sanctioned by the First Amendment. Frustration levels 0 to 100 have been authorized for use during this purge. All weapons are restricted. Government officials have not been granted immunity from the purge of the BS and shall undoubtedly receive the smoke. Commencing at the sound of the gong, any and all BS, especially unnecessary goofiness, will be purged without consequence. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be available, but they will be busy because they will be watching the purge of the BS. Blessed be those who have already been victims of some BS. May God be with you all.
All right, guys. Well, that was fun. Thank y'all for stopping in. I see y'all are in here. Melissa in the chat. Okay, guys, we're going to get started. Since I got some of my faves around, this gong's for you. All right? So thank y'all for stopping in early. We are going to cover a few stories today on this very special Purge of the BS. But before we get into the BS, okay, I want to get into something. Y'all just going to have to humor me for a minute. At some point in my life, I was sort of a nerd when it came to like space, outer space, stuff like that. Let me tell you what, when I was in elementary school and they asked the kids what they want to be when they grow up, my answer was I wanted to be a Jedi Knight. Like, I was a little weird, but I had high aspirations and expectations for myself. Can't take that away from me. So because of that, I wanted to pay homage to what happened yesterday.
Very exciting stuff. Now,
which I believe, was that yesterday?
At this point, we
Forget what it
have
was.
now
it
entered
happened.
the
They brought some
communications
people
blackout
back.
period.
Y'all need to watch a little bit of the way because that's
this
what's happening
lasts
right now.
approximately
Forget
7
the
minutes
goofy shit.
due
Let's
to
be happy
plasma
about
formation
something.
around the spacecraft itself. During this time, no vehicle telemetry is received by mission
look,
control
I'm gonna have to speed
or
this
the
up a little
recovery
bit because
team,
it takes a
and
minute.
no external
But let me
command.
preempt this by saying, imagine you went somewhere for a weekend, right? And at the end of the trip, you go to start your vehicle and the engine's just gone. Can't get out of there. That sucks, right? No tow trucks in the area, no bus route, no other way home. That's how these people got stuck in space. They went up there and they were supposed to come back and the car didn't start that they were supposed to use to bring back, basically. Like, of course, it's more scientific than that, but I'm trying to give it to you in layman's terms, okay? Because everybody's like, what the hell happened that they got stuck up there in space? No, they weren't just floating around in space and somebody came and scooped them up off the side of the galaxy like a freaking international or interstellar Uber, okay? That's not what happened. They went somewhere, they were hanging out, they went to have a party for a weekend, car didn't start when they were ready to go, and there was no other vehicle to get them back. As you can imagine, getting back from space isn't that easy if your car don't start, so to speak, okay? So I just want to give them a couple of minutes, please. For those of y'all that ain't the nerds that want me to go straight into the ratchet shit, come back in about 20 minutes, okay? But for those of y'all that don't mind, at least understanding the gravity, and that's a play on words there, of what we got to see, which was some people traveling at 17,000 miles per hour
or voice communication.
or something crazy like that in what looked like the top of a robot head coming back from the International Space Station. Now, y'all can hate Elon all you want, but Elon apparently, along with NASA, SpaceX, the whole situation, the whole crew, they got together, and they put this rescue mission together. And maybe those test rockets a couple weeks ago blowing up, maybe that was to build some additional drama. I don't know. I don't think you would go through all that to just waste money. But it definitely did add a little element of safety concerns when it came to bringing people back from space. So I was worried, not gonna lie, just me personally, but with 2 rockets blowing up, I said, man, maybe they should hold off on that whole grabbing the people from space thing, right? Well, they didn't do that. They got the crew together, they sat down there at NASA, and they went up there, and if you were paying attention, they docked up there the other day, they hung out for they hung out for the weekend with the people that were coming up there to get them, the replacements, or whatever, if you want to call it that. And then they brought a car for them, and now they're coming back home. So right now what you're watching, for those that don't know, this is apparently the re-entry into Earth. Now this is real for me, because yeah, I don't want to go to the moon or Mars or none of that, but if people go in there and coming back, that's still cool though. It's cool that they did it. Y'all keep on keeping on with that. So let's get a little bit of audio in here. This is apparently the re-entry. This bright glowing orb looking thing is the capsule. Now let me tell you what, that capsule didn't look that big. You tell me I got to travel for 24 hours in space back to Earth. I don't know. There's no in-flight meal. There's no bathroom. And how did they use the bathroom in that thing? You know what? These are the questions. But anyway.
Once again, this view
Let's
is
watch
coming
this
from the
historic
WB-57 plane. That heat shield we can see doing magnificent work as it works to...
Freedom, SpaceX, Comcheck.
Let me speed it up a little bit.
All right, we're going to start hearing the SpaceX crew operations resource engineer.
SpaceX Freedom is with you. 4.6 feet. Enjoying the ride.
Yeah, I know y'all gonna. Fine.
Copy that, Freedom.
Fine. Y'all ain't into it. Y'all ain't even into it.
Great news there from Commander Nick Hague reporting back.
Is it Gad Fleet? Whatever it is.
Expect automated chute deployment.
I don't care if we went to the moon or not. They was in space and they came back. We cannot have a moon landing discussion right now, because I have my own theories about that. We will talk about it, but not right this moment. Not right this.
Makes its way home.
Thank you for stopping in the chat.
Next event coming up will be deployment of the drogue parachutes. This occurs around 18,000 feet.
GPS has converged. Expect nominal altitude for drogue chute deployment.
See, you think you're safe when you're coming back, right? But if you've ever been on a plane,
we're about 2 minutes away from
hardest.
deployment of those drogue parachutes. Now the heat shield is continuing to work to slow the vehicle down. That entry period, the Dragon spacecraft went from orbital velocity about 17,500 miles per hour down to about 350 miles per hour. So that really gives you a sense of why that plasma builds up on the exterior of the capsule, thanks to the heat shield and the work that it does. Those drogue parachutes will slow it down from 350 to about 119 miles per hour. We can see
15 kilometers. Brace for drogue window.
They caught that interstellar Uber and they right up in there,
we can
boy.
see seat rotation happening inside the capsule. Great to get those first views of our crew members.
Now, you know how when you get ready to land a plane,
once again, the
or land on the plane and you're like, and you feel that joint coming down? They're coming down from space, chilling. Wow, we're freaking out on a freaking Spirit flight.
Miles per hour.
He's sitting
and that
back.
is when we will
They
see the
got the
main
big front
parachutes
seat.
deploy, and that occurs about 6,000 feet.
Oh, God,
above
Tamara,
the
they
ocean's
drink their own
surface.
pee? I don't want to know. I don't
And we
want
are
to know.
expecting
I want to
drogue
keep it
deployment at
sci-fi.
2:53 p.m. Pacific, so we should see it any second now.
There we
And there
go.
you are getting a great
Thing
view
looks
of
like
Crew
the
9
poop
inside
emoji.
Dragon Freedom as
That's
it
what it
returns
is. It's
back
the
to
poop
Earth. We are
emoji.
awaiting the drogue deploys. This view coming from the WB-57 high altitude plane, and there you see it on your screen. Drogue deployment.
Okay.
You can hear the crowd here.
They went and dropped the damn poop emoji back down.
The crowd here very excited as Dragon Freedom continues to make its way
I
back
think
to
there's
planet Earth.
there's some pundits to that. There's something there. They said you guys do know it looks like a poop emoji when it's
Next
up
up, we'll
there,
stand
right?
by for the main deployment of the parachutes. The mains are quite a bit larger. You'll be able to notice the difference on your screen once they deploy, and they continue to ensure that the Dragon spacecraft slows down even further. As we mentioned,
So
Freedom will be
there's so
traveling 16
many
miles.
levels of failure that can happen in this process. That's why it's so interesting to me. They got multiple parachutes. As you see now, another set of parachutes got to drop because they got to slow the damn thing down from like 16,000 miles per hour, whatever ridiculously dumb speed they come back into the earth at. I still don't get all that, how we could travel like that and not just explode. But hey, science is interesting and rockets are hard, okay? So now you got your 4 big, pretty, logo-filled parachutes here. Man, I would love to put my logo on some shit like that. That would be awesome. Putting that in the brain. Because you could pay for that. You know what I'm saying? And when y'all drop the space shuttle back down, I want my logo on the parachute so when everybody's looking, they'd be like, yo, what's that? So nonetheless, we're going to let them...
Minutes away from splashing down off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida. Splash down 2 minutes from now at 2:57 p.m. Pacific. We do have 4 healthy mains
All
really
my
doing the job
Elon
there.
haters,
Just
man,
breathtaking views of a calm,
give it a
glass-like ocean off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida. Crew 9 just minutes away from splashing down.
This is really such an incredible
all of the
shot.
people that don't like whatever's going on,
that
just
was
600.
That was a
give it a
live view
minute.
from our
Like,
recovery vessel, Megan, which is
I don't give a damn
stationed
if they
a
weren't
couple
on
miles
the
away
moon.
from
They were just
the
out of here and
splashdown
came
site.
back.
We can see
I'll
the
thank
crew
God every
there
time I land on a
using
plane.
their
about the
restraints
rest of
as
y'all?
resting places for their arms. They were just in space moments ago, so their arms were able to float freely.
400 meters.
This is a gorgeous bluebird day here that we have for the splashdown of Crew 9.
You know, they can't land them on land.
It's incredible
they
to
gotta land
think
them
that the
in
Dragon
water.
capsule just minutes ago was going over 17,000 miles per hour.
17,000 miles per hour. You hear that?
Coasting to a soft splashdown.
200.
Copy. 200 meters. Brace for splashdown.
I wonder how that ratio works out, like going from 17,000 miles per hour.
As you can see there on your screen,
to
continuing to monitor progress
like
of
15
the
miles per
Dragon
hour.
spacecraft. And we're going to stand by for splashdown located in the Gulf of America,
Right.
Off the coast of
Y'all
Tallahassee,
had to watch
Florida.
that with me. I thank y'all for standing by. That shit is awesome.
And splashdown.
And
Crew
there
9
you go.
back on Earth.
And there you go. The poop emoji in the Gulf of
Alex,
America.
Butch, Sonny, on behalf of SpaceX.
Now, the funny part about it is, look at this thing, man. Would you ride back from space in that? Oh, Tamara, thank you very much for the hoodie purchase. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, since we're talking about like some international stuff, we are having some issues with getting things to Canada right now. I don't know if that's connected to this Trump stuff or whatever, but when it comes to the merch, so we are officially starting Merch Madness, okay? I want to see not only suggestions for merch, but I want to see people go ahead and pull in the merch. We've got to start to support the content because we have some things that we're really trying to do that are outside of the realm of just the internet, because this is Purge the BS. We're here to make a movement. You see what I'm saying? We're purging it. It's a movement, a purge movement. But anyway, thank you very much for everybody that's been, supporting the show, super chats, all that kind of stuff, man. Y'all are doing great. Moderators, thank you for keeping the trolls at bay. It's been fun. But I do have the question. Would anybody ride back from space in this joint? I don't even like getting in small cars to go down the street. If somebody said, yo, I came up here to pick you up, you're like, well, what are we riding back in? And they're like, that. All right, so apparently this thing was in pristine condition when it left. So if you didn't know, this is what happens when you come back from space in something. It pretty much tears up the paint job coming back into America. Now, let me say this. This is the worst airport pickup ever. You ever arrived at the airport and you waiting on your ride and then you call them or something and they're not even on the circle yet and you done caught a 17-hour flight through space? Where is y'all at? The drone is here. The drone is here. Can we hurry this up, folks? This is sped up. They had to sit there for probably 45 minutes or something stupid like that, waiting on these folks to come pick them up like they didn't know they were coming. Ridiculous. I'm just playing. But still. It's a truly amazing feat. So nonetheless, they came and got them, and that happened. So I'm going to ask this question of the folks, okay? We witnessed some people who were stuck in space come back. They came back because Elon and NASA and our government that we either love or hate right now had some contracts and some research going on that made that possible. Now, whether or not you like Elon or whether or not you like the Democrats or whatever it is, whoever you like, in this, there was definitely a joining of the forces. That's how these things get funded. So, for just a moment, for those who think Elon Musk is the damn devil, the man sent a ride out to pick up our fellow Americans, brought them back, dropped them off in this new Gulf of America, and then they got a chance to hang out in Florida, and now this is a historic moment. So what the hell did you do this week? You see what I'm saying? What'd you do this week? Meanwhile, he's dealing with the government and the fact that people want to kill him and the fact that Tesla's getting burned down and all that kind of stuff. What'd you do this week? So for those people that's out there trying to just take down this Elon guy, keep in mind, man, he is here for a reason. He's here in this time by whatever God you worship. He's here for a reason. Maybe it's technology. I don't think that the thing he did the other day was something that we need to just be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? That's serious. He trying to go to Mars. And he keep doing stuff like this. They're going to let his ass go to Mars. I'm telling y'all, stay y'all asses here. Let them go explore. Show me the pictures when you get back. Put it up on Facebook. Tag me. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Tag me. I don't need to go to Mars. You can show me Mars. Do all that. I'm cool right here in the good old US of A on the good old planet Earth that I was designed to walk and breathe on. I'm perfectly fine with that. But for the rest of y'all, see, Tammy Astorga jumped in the chat and said, so because Elon did one thing good, we sell our souls to him and let him do what he wants. That is absolutely incorrect. Did you miss what I was saying? She missed what I was saying. She missed it. It's okay. It's okay. You might be new to the channel. I'm not sure. But we compartmentalize over here. Because I can't hate the cancer baby because I don't like Trump. And I can't live like that. So some things we have to segment. So we're just paying homage to the whole space thing. We're not saying Elon gets to run the country and do whatever he wants. We're just talking about him picking up the people who needed a ride and bringing them back safely to Earth. And the fact that program was successful. Okay? No offense, no disrespect. I'm just saying that's how we deal with things on this channel. Okay? Because everybody, if you want to trace stuff back every time somebody says something that's going on presently, you never really get anywhere. It's like, well, what does this have to do with right now? Okay, now we can get back to what is Elon doing with Doge, that's a whole separate subject. You see what I'm saying? But the space thing was pretty cool. So if you're not into rockets and all of that, if you're not into rockets and all that kind of stuff, I don't want you to think that I don't hear your voice, but I don't want people who may be confused thinking that that's actually what we want them to do, which is to sell their souls and allow Elon to do anything. So if we haven't already covered that, that's what we want. That's what I want to say is don't say that, because the weak-minded will see that and think, oh, that's what we're supposed to do, and we don't want that. So that's why we don't do that. It's not because of you. It's because not everybody got it where they can just take in information and not become some type of weird militarized situation. So we got to be careful with that. The internet is a very sensitive place. That's why we get people that we're like, why'd they do that? Because they read something on the internet? You never know. People get weirdly moved by some really crazy, stupid stuff these days. But anyway, let me get to my next story here. Hold on a second. What we got? What's next? Okay, so what do we have? Okay, so the astronauts came back. We got some pyramids. We got some that. Okay, let's go into okay. All right, let's go back here. That was cool, so we're gonna go to funny. We gotta go to funny next. That was a little too serious for some because it got into the Elon thing, and that starts to get into our anger and all that kind of stuff. That's why I have to balance it out. Because a lot of people are literally just on the internet to argue or to try to argue someone else down on a point. And other people, like myself, I'm here to have a conversation, go over some stuff that I think is fun, some things that I think that are funny, and some things that I think that are serious. And compartmentalize. I'm not going to be angry how you felt about the last segment in the next segment. You see what I'm saying? That's how we do over here. So welcome to Purge the BS. For those who are new, so basically, we're going to go to the police next. Let's take it to the cops this time. Okay, let's see what we got. Apparently, a man got caught sunbathing, and the police rolled up on him. Let's see where this goes. Oh, boy. I have a weird feeling about this. All right.
My man.
Yes, sir.
Not at the park.
Okay.
You got any ID on you?
No.
What's your name?
Paul.
You can't be out here soliciting. You understand that?
I didn't realize I was soliciting.
You got a sign over here on the ground that says, feel free to investigate gently. I mean, come on. There's people that come out here that complain about this behavior nonstop. Do me a favor, put your hands behind your back.
Yeah, I won't do anything to people, all right?
Less than smart decision has been made here today.
Yeah, I didn't realize that's soliciting. I just was...
Please feel free to investigate gently. You've got your wrapped up with a chain up to a little stick you got here.
I was...
Y'all hearing this?
Sunbathing.
Well, that's not sunbathing, my friend. A little bit different. Have you ever met anybody here before? No, first time. So basically you were just trying to meet somebody. You got your rigged up like a fishing rod.
That didn't look good. I'm sorry.
Yo, hold on a second. So this dude is laying in the middle of a path.
They complain about this behavior.
Oh my God. He's in the middle of a path with what looks like a chain. I can't see all of it. I'm glad they cut it out because some things you can't unsee. But basically, he's got his willy on some type of a string, and he's got that in the middle of some other place for other people to possibly come over and play with it. And he has a sign that says, investigate gently. I'm just making sure I got that story correct, because that's what I think is going on right now. And I'm just trying to figure out, how do you get this old in life and then start making those kind of decisions? It's a desperate time out here, people, where you got to go tie up your thing and just tell somebody, look, please just touch it. Please. Nobody wants to touch it. Please just touch it. That's crazy. You nasty, old nasty ass man. Oh, just sitting there. Could be a child walking around. I'll let him run one more time because before I get sick. But they got the block in there. That means when he first walks up, this dude's whole situation is out. And he's comfortable doing this. What the hell is going on here?
What's your name?
Paul.
You can't be out here soliciting. You understand that?
I didn't realize I was soliciting.
You got a sign over here on the ground that says, feel free to investigate gently. I mean, come on. There's people that come out here that complain about this behavior nonstop. Do me a favor, put your hands behind your back.
Yeah, I won't do anything stupid, all right?
You won't do anything stupid. You already did.
Today.
Yeah, I didn't realize that's soliciting. I just was...
Please feel free to investigate gently. You've got your wrapped up with a chain up to a little stick you got here.
I was, out here sunbathing. You're absolutely right.
Well, that's not sunbathing, my friend. A little bit different. Have you ever met anybody here before? No, first time. So basically, you were just trying to meet somebody. You got your rigged up like a fishing rod.
It didn't look good. I'm sorry.
He said it doesn't look good. I'm sorry. Look, let me tell you what, guys. Al, I don't know where that was at. I'm guessing Florida. I hate to say it, but it has a Floridian feel to it. Without being, what would they say, prejudiced, let's just say the weather, the sights, the color and age of the people just screamed lower Florida to me. Okay? So I don't know where that is. And the fact that he was so calm about it was kind of like, was he at a nude beach or something? Because they do have nude beaches at certain places in Florida, I think. Is that Florida? I don't know. I haven't been to one in Florida. I've never been to a nude beach in Florida. I've never been to like a nude beach. I don't really want to go to a nude beach. I'm too afraid that everybody will look like me, which is something I don't want to see, if that makes sense. Right? So that's why I don't go to that. It sounds good. It sounds good when you first think about it, but then it's like, what if everybody looks like me? I don't want to see that. So I don't want to go to the nude beach. Get that. All right, so let's see what our next story is here. Okay, we got that. We got this. Oh my God, we got so much content today. I'm gonna have to just kind of run through because I only got so much time with y'all. I got shit to do. But thank you, everybody who's brand new to the channel. We are trying to hit 5K today. So share this live. We're at like 4.9K. We're trying to hit 5K today. Tomorrow is the Purge of the BS show, 2nd anniversary. 2 years to the day. 32123 was when we started the show. It was the first episode. And so 321, we're going to be celebrating. So we're going to be running like 24 hours of Purge episodes. Just tune in, keep sharing. We want to make sure we get that 5K and our merch madness started this week. Okay. So, do we want to stay funny? Let's stay funny. I'll give you guys funny first. Let me see. Can I get this Instagrammer? I know I did this. Yeah, I'll do this one. They won't care. All right, so I got a special one that I'm not saying special, but I got to do this. Damn it, go in there. Pause. I got to do this because a friend of mine sent me this clip. I thought it was hilarious. Maybe I missed it when it first happened, when it first came out. Maybe, okay? It's possible. But y'all got to see this. Y'all got to see this. Shouts to my man Russ Shanks, Rhythm Shack. Shanks I'll be doing an interview with him in about 3 weeks here. So, but he sent me this clip. So I had to show it to you.
He's the perfect YN for all of your scrubbing needs. Trying to get that stubborn stain off your plate? Scrub, nigga. Old dry food on your spoon? No way. Scrub, nigga. Now introducing Scrub Brother. Apparently, you can't say the N-word on televised broadcasts.
Hi, I'm Steve, and I made the unfortunate mistake of saying the old name of the product.
But that was the past. Steve ain't gonna say it no more. He learned from his mistakes. See, Scrub Brother is solving racism. So if you want to wash your dishes the right way and not the white way, get you a Scrub Brother.
Scrub Brother. It's the one you can say.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was funny. Hold on, we'll go through the funnies real quick. Hold on, let me do another one. Do another one here. Have you guys ever seen Dr. Kiyasu? See, I gotta soften the palate before we get into this whole segregation thing, because that's its own conversation. And I gotta wait for the algorithm to bring the folks in. So we do our funny stuff first. We purge the funny. Because you gotta laugh. Some of this shit is funny. But if you haven't seen this Dr. Kiyasu guy, all right, I think y'all need to understand this dude is an artist, okay? Now, maybe I'm not up to date on art, so I'm gonna let y'all check it out. But this dude is an artist, and he's apparently very popular as an artist, and we're going to take a look at his art, and I'm just going to let y'all make your own choice and decision. Okay? See what he's got here. Sound like my grandbabies when they get their older son. I'm just telling you, I don't get it. I don't. So. Please someone explain this shit to me. You know, I don't think you can copyright this shit either. Like, I don't. I'm having an issue. I'm having an issue, guys. I'm not seeing it, man. It's supposed to be trendy art, and people obviously, you know, these are some of the finest folks in the U.S. showing up here to see this particular thing. This guy in the back looks like he's hitting a vape or drinking a beer or something. I don't know what he's doing, but it's a fine group of people, young people here. Definitely upper crust, and they are showing up for this. So I guess the comments seem to be more in our direction, but I guess this guy don't care. So I got to give him props on that, because this is his page, and people are dropping comments. So he leaves the comments open, and you could come in there and tell him whether or not you get it or you don't get it. I personally don't get it. Like, it's just, I can do this. Would y'all pay me to come do this? I'll do it. I promise. I'll do it just like this. What am I clapping for? They were very excited. And what does he have on his shirt? What is going on in this place? What kind of show are you? What kind of dog and pony show are you doing up in here in the UK? Equalizing Distort. It sounds like a band. I don't know. I'm gonna leave that alone. Like I said, maybe I just don't get it. I don't know. But he's got this many damn shows. What is going on? What? Am I in the Matrix? Literally in it? Where a person can do that and they got their whole situation is lined up. He's doing a tour. He's doing a tour with that. Guys, what are we doing? I don't know. Like I said, I just don't get it. Whatever, man. I'm just going to leave it alone. Forget about it. I'm a little pissed, tad bit envious that you can get that much pull and that much reach by just smacking your head on the drum and just making noise. Like, that's all he seemed like he was doing to me, was just making sound. It was like some backwards ASMR type crap, right? But apparently people like this now. Because somebody told him it had value. Somebody told him that. Somebody said, this is the thing. And people got along with that. All right, let's keep it going. All right, so what do we have next? Oh, we're going to get into some black stuff. Okay, let's do some nigga shit.
All right, got it. Let's do that. All right, so some of you guys may not know who Jess Hilarious is. You guys know who Jess Hilarious is? If you don't, you're about to find out. She is a comedian from Baltimore who, honestly, I kind of like Jess. I think she definitely represents and reminds me of Baltimore every time I see her. She has the accent. She has the mannerisms. She is Baltimore, in my opinion. And I've spent a lot of time there. So, she's kind of like yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's that. Here you go. I hate to say that because to a degree, she can be a little bit on the ratchet side, right? But nonetheless, she's been spilling the tea about the Breakfast Club, and because it is a trending topic, we're going to cover it briefly, okay? We are going to cover it briefly. So Baltimore, stand up for this real quick. I got y'all. I didn't really mean stand up. I meant like, you know what I mean. But no, I'm not from Baltimore, but I have spent an extended amount of time in the Baltimore area. I'm very familiar with Baltimore. I'll say it that way. Very familiar with it. So, ask about me, yo. Ask about me. No. Ask about me, though. Anyway, so she gets on this thing. Apparently, she went on maternity leave. I'm trying to get this is the story that came to me. She went on maternity leave, and apparently during that time, they had to replace her segment with another person so she could do the leave thing. And then afterwards, she came back, and that person who was like in her spot didn't leave. And she felt a certain type of way about it. So when she came back to work, she seems to be in this argumentative thing. And I'm just like, you know what? Why can't we all just get along? So let's just see what they got to say. I'll probably have to jump through it. It's a long clip, and the Breakfast Club is definitely a monetized piece. So you know they're going to make me cut it out later. So consider yourself fortunate when you're here on the live. The stuff afterwards, I got to cut all of that out. But on the live, this is when we can have the fun, okay? So let's see what they got to say. And up Charlemagne Lagarde. I see Jess crying all the time. What is that? Was that a compliment, bro? Or was that a passive-aggressive shot at Jess? Come on, Charlemagne. First of all, you shouldn't have these two women bickering on the show. Whatever issues they got, they should have handled the shit off show. But since they decided to do it on the show, fine. We'll cover it. But it's different when you listen to things on the radio, right? You might not be able to see Jess Hilarious's face. I've seen this woman before many times. I could tell as soon as the shot came on, damn, she been crying. So this is real. And Charlemagne's kind of making a joke of this shit. So, I'm going to let it continue. But I'm just like, I don't really like how he's coming at it. First of all, he's putting them on display on purpose. Talking about how she was running in the building when she got there and saw it. She didn't know what Jess was on, so she come running in the building. So you trying to call her out for, like, being scared. You calling Jess out for crying. You really doing too much, Charlemagne. I'm just telling you, I don't like what he's doing with that. I don't like that. It's like he's trying to edge them on the... I don't know. Maybe I'm just picking up on it. And you don't do that with Baltimore women. You egg them on, they will fight. Jess Hilarious looks like she can fight. And even if she can't fight, she looks like she will fight, if that makes sense, right? She might not even be good at fighting, but she looks like she'll try to whoop your ass if it just go too far. You should be considering yourself fortunate that all she's doing is just crying about it and not lashing out at y'all. But I'll let it continue. They want more mic in their mouth. It seems like they're talking about who's over talking who during the segments. Now, you know what's funny? I've definitely had that as a dynamic. It's a dynamic issue. Like when I have my boys on, we literally talk to each other about, hey, let's make sure that we allow each other the space in the audio to talk. So we do speak about that and make sure that we're all understanding that we try not to overtalk each other. Even if we have opposing views, we try to make sure that we're fitting in the gaps, right? So that should be a thing that all professionals are doing when it comes to radio and talk shows and things like that. So I don't see the beef yet. I was looking for a real beef. I was looking for somebody tried to cut me out of a contract, or somebody tried to take over my show, or maybe somebody had sex with my boyfriend. Just, I'm looking for a real beef, not just you told me to shut up, and then the responses where you be over talking too much. And it's like, all right, well then let's just try not to do that. You don't tell people to shut up, and y'all fit in the gaps. Y'all need to work. It's called dynamic. It's called chemistry. If you don't have it, you can work on that. But there's no need to be beefing about it. But I'll let them continue.
You are here.
One of the easiest ways to treat
You're
people
here.
against each other.
And you're here because of an opportunity that I extended.
Regardless
like
of-
that's no. I'm not sitting
you
here.
here because I gave you the hookup line. She just sunned her. Did y'all hear that? She said, you're here because of a favor I extended to you. So you here on the arm of me. Stay in your lane. That's what Jess is trying to say right here. So she's got an issue with, I hate to say it, it seems like a control issue. She wants to be in control of the situation because that was the person she brought on. And I guess maybe people like the other girl, but I don't really listen to the full Breakfast Club frequently. I catch the Just with the Mess segment sometimes. And, you know, every once in a while, a nice clip will come through, but I don't watch it and listen to it every day. I'll check out some of the guests, though, that they have on, right? So apparently, this is her friend that she's extending this offer to. So, okay, I get where you're coming from, Jess. It's like, yo, I brought you on, and now you trying to overtalk me. I'm Jess with the mess. You know what I'm saying? I get where she's coming from. She just could have dealt with it a little different. She's very aggressive. And you know when a woman put the finger rolls in, she took the weave out. She got a tattoo showing she is ready to brawl. Don't get it twisted, especially when they start crying. That crying, it don't be sadness sometimes. It be madness, right? And you got to watch out. So I'm going to let her finish, but I'm just saying, y'all, it sounds like a control issue. She just wanted to be in control of it, and the other girl seems to be like she got some control while Jess was gone, and she want to flex that too. There's a lot of flexism going on. He don't suck a pee-pee. Did I miss that? What the hell did he just say? Hold on a second. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I got to bring that back. I feel like I missed something here that may have been somewhat important. Like, hold on a second.
I'm hating on a.
They say I'm gay. I never came up here and said I don't suck no pee-pee. That's true.
Whoa. They said I'm gay. I've never come up here and said I don't suck no pee-pee. Don't anybody cut me saying that in the short. That's what Charlemagne said. You heard it first. He never said he don't do it. That's what he just said. He said they was telling me, but I never said I don't do it. Okay, I heard you, Charlemagne. You should have shut up. I told him to be quiet. He don't listen. Let's see if the internet catches that phrasing. Anyway, want him to shut up. Are we going to have an issue with that, ladies? He just literally, I heard it. He just told another guy to shut up, and they don't seem to be having an issue. Like, even look at Charlemagne's face right now. It doesn't look like an angry face. As a matter of fact, it looks like the guy who never said he didn't suck pee-pee. Okay? That's what he said. He said, look, I never said I don't do that. So y'all get it. And apparently it continued. There's more with it. I don't know. I think they sent me 2 clips of it. I don't think I can internalize any more of it. I think I got the point. Was, you know, they're arguing over basically stage time, and Jess seems to be upset that she's being upstaged by a person who she brought on. That's what I'm gathering. And to me, that's not necessarily a warranted argument. It's like, you know, there's more than enough bandwidth for everybody. Maybe she should kind of calm that down. I don't know. Y'all can, you know, I don't think it's staged. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's staged, because one thing I will say about Jess Hilarious is she's very real, almost detrimentally so, right? Because she wears her emotions on her sleeve. As you can see, she's crying. You could tell the second the shot came in, eyes swollen up and everything, looked like she had been punched out without being punched out. You know what I'm saying? So that's not staged. That's Jess Hilarious going through an emotional breakdown in the midst of this job that she has on the Breakfast Club. She wasn't always on the Breakfast Club. She was just a comedian for a while. That's where I saw her. I saw her in comedy clubs and stuff like that. So I think she was cool then. Like, I thought she was cool. So I was happy when they gave her an opportunity to do a bigger stage. But if it's going to have her doing emotional breakdowns, and they kind of, in my opinion, they're making fun of her, the way that they're handling this. And you're right, it doesn't seem hilarious. But they had her doing the ratchetness, Jess with the mess. It doesn't seem like Jess feels like this is in any way hilarious anymore. So I'm hoping they work that out because I'm just very tired of seeing people of the melanin in spaces that have large platforms just not being able to get along with basic everyday interaction. The beef was because she told her to be quiet. And, you know, can't nobody tell nobody to be quiet. We as adults don't want to, nobody gonna tell me when to be quiet. Well, sometimes you do need to shut up. Like Charlemagne in that segment. There was at least 3 times he didn't need to say shit, but he just like want to be in there. You know what I'm saying? It's like he wanted to insert himself into the situation where he really didn't need to insert himself. The beef was between the two of them. And he trying to tell him about the comments. Stop talking about the comments. Charlemagne was egging that on with his egghead. So I don't like what Charlemagne did there. I don't like that. I think they should have come into the situation having already worked that out. She was on Instagram wilding out. You just gonna have everybody come to work the next day like nothing happened and then go right on the radio? That's not smart. And what happened as a result of it is they got this interview, so to speak, of what we're looking at. So they're gonna get plenty of clicks. I think all of the clips that they have of this interview are getting about 1 million views. So yeah, they're getting some money out of it by making Jess look like she's crying over not getting enough microphone time, because that's what they're doing. So apparently the ladies don't like each other, but we'll see if they work it out. I hope they do. I really do. So let's see. Hold on a second. What do we have going on next? Oh, and make sure you hit the like button, yo. I know y'all forget, because when you come in, you got the damn spinning subscribe thing, you got the video going on, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot where you forget that you do have a responsibility, okay? As the subscriber and watcher. Hit that like button, share the live, hit the reactions with the hearts and the hundreds and all that kind of stuff. Drop a comment, let me know how you feel, all right? So let me get over to our next story here. Almost there. All right, what we got? We got that. We had that. What's this one? I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. Are we going that? We're going there? Shit. Hold on. I need a second. I need a second on this one. Let me see here. Let me see what this is first before I throw it in here with y'all. Oh, that's funny. All right, we'll do one more funny. Because the Just Hilarious thing was kind of serious. So we'll do one more funny, and then we're going to get into our real conversation for today, our SEO conversation, okay? So let me give you one funny. Let's see what we got here. So I don't know if y'all know who Famous Amos is, but I don't know. I'm a big fan of Famous Amos. He reminds me of a friend of mine, whose name is Miles, and it's just like he'd be dancing and stuff. He just loves life, and I just always like that. So I'm gonna just show a Famous Amos clip real quick, and then we're gonna get into discussing our topic of the day. Okay, hold on a second here, guys. All right, so you can see here it says, I'm done with gender reveals forever. So we're going to give this 30 seconds. I want you guys to soften your palate because the next conversation is going to get a little thick, and I just want to make sure you guys are at least back on even keel when we get there, okay? Because the Just Hilarious thing got me a little, I need to bring it back down, all right? Wait! Check this out.
Do something!
It's your boy!
Oh, he got a pacifier in the mouth. Oh, that's a big boy.
I'm not gonna lie, if you don't follow Famous Amos on Instagram or whatever, man, he will give you a laugh when you meet him. Not gonna lie to you. Not gonna lie to you. So for all of my comedy content creators, thank you guys for being funny because the world has become so serious lately that it's like just every once in a while, we just need to have a laugh, okay? So let's get into the real shit. All right. You guys ain't ready. They not ready. I'm going to give them a hot second to be ready. All right, folks. Let's get funky up in here. I see we got a couple of folks in, and that's enough. That's always enough. Before I get into our SEO topic, I am going to give my shouts of the out. So special shouts to all of you guys in the chat. Melissa in the chat, Stacy in the chat, Gad Flied in the chat, Eric McCrambly, I believe it is, Cambly in the chat, and everybody else who's joining from earlier, Animalistic Behaviors, IEMZ, Albon, Tamara, everybody who's in the chat, that belongs for you. All right, so I'm just going to get right into it, guys, because there's been a lot of talk. And because there's a lot of talk, I got to ask the question of the internet so that the internet knows what's up. Oh, and shouts to Purple Groovy as well in there as well. Almost forgot about you, Purple. But I didn't, as you see. Came back with that. So, but here's the question. Here it is. You guys ready? It's been coming down the pipe that Donald Trump just authorized segregation and rolled back the Civil Rights Act. That's what came to me. That's what was told to me. That's what I had to go and investigate. And so now we're going to talk about it. Now, regardless of how you feel or what you feel right now, I want you to allow me to at least figure it out as well, whatever you know, because I did my research, because I need to know. I need to know. I need to know if I need to worry about things, especially when the fact that I go out in public, right? And apparently, although the story was recent, the actual act was from some time before. So let me explain. Back in February, the GSA put out a memo on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it was titled Ending Wasteful, what was that shit again? Ending Radical and Wasteful Government Programs. It was basically the DEI rollback is what we're talking about here. So the DEI rollback was a rollback of DEI mandates that had been put forth back in like 2019. So the short answer to the first question is, did Donald Trump roll back the Civil Rights Act? The answer to that is no, because the clause that they rolled back is more recent than the Civil Rights Act. So it does utilize the term segregation, and we're going to get into that. So this memo said that to adjust federal contracting policy, specifically by removing the DEI requirements for federal contractors, this included directives to eliminate language or mandates tied to DEI in contracts, such as those in FAR Clause 52.222-21. Look it up if you need to. Which previously prohibited segregation in facilities like restrooms or dining areas for contractors. Okay. So a lot of posts have put this out there as claiming it lifts the bans on segregated facilities. And we're going to get into that right now. So I want you guys to take a look at what the rollback was, and then we can talk about that in a second. Let's put your big brains on. All right. We had our fun. Remember the guy with his thing out and, told him to investigate gently. We had our fun. Now it's time for class. Okay. So let me bring this on over here for you. Sorry. All right. Hoping you guys can see it all, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to read it. So this is the FAR mandate that was rolled back. This was put into place, prohibition of segregated facilities. in April 2015. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was, of course, in 1964. So this is not the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Okay, it's not. So just in case you were wondering, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 has not been rolled back. All right, so you can at least rest there. So basically, prohibition of segregated facilities says gender identity has the meaning given by the Department of Labor's Office of Federal Contract Compliance Program and is found at this location. Now, this location is a DOI.gov page that takes you to a bunch of LGBT information, all of the rules and clauses that surround LGBT. It doesn't say anything about black people. Okay, we'll start there. We're going to start there. So segregated facilities means any waiting rooms, work areas, restrooms, and washrooms, restaurants, and other eating areas, time clocks, locker rooms and other storage and dressing areas, parking lots, drinking fountains, recreation or entertainment areas, transportation, and housing facilities provided for employees that are segregated by explicit directive or are in fact segregated on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin because of written or oral practices and that shit. Okay. And sexual orientation, of course, is sexual orientation. The contractor agrees that it does not and will not maintain or provide for its employees any segregated facilities at any of its establishments, and it does not and will not permit employees to perform these services at any location under its control where segregated facilities are maintained. The contractor agrees that a breach of this clause is a violation of the Equal Opportunity Clause in this contract. Okay. So this is what the rollback was. This is what they removed. They removed segregated facilities for people who have gender identity claims. And somehow, because they put all of these commas in here, because they wanted to try to cover a bunch of shit, because they said segregated by explicit directive or in fact segregated on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin because of written policies or employee customs. So basically, this was a clause to prohibit. Hold on, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but guys, if you're looking at it, it was a clause to prohibit creation of special restrooms for LGBTQ folks. That's really what this thing is showing to me. You know what? I see what is being said, but this doesn't seem to be a rollback of the Civil Rights Act or a black people thing. Let's see what this other thing is. Yeah, this is all LGBT. Let's see what we got here. LGBT. Let's just look that up. Okay. All right. Well, now I'm confused, guys, because Donald J. Plump is in the chat with the quote unquote le bullshit. Okay, because I'll tell you what. The parent topic, which is this one, is about labor disputes, and it has more to do with it looks like this is the thing that would have allowed people to use the wrong bathroom or the other bathrooms, is what it looks like. Let's break it back down, since y'all are with me now. So the mandate is that the contractor agrees that it would not maintain or provide for its employees any segregated facilities. Meaning, men's bathroom versus women's bathroom, that's segregation. That's a segregated facility. So what it's saying is, basically, this is the mandate that was supposed to let guys use the girls' bathroom. And that's what was rolled back. So maybe it's the language that's confusing people. No. Al Bond, we already know right now. Okay, let's just be real, guys in the chat. I got this story from people saying that we're rolling back to Jim Crow, color versus white, drinking fountains, bathrooms, and da-da-da-da-da. In reading this memo, this is not what that was about. And I would venture to say this is not what that was about at all. You see what I'm saying? So how did this get wrapped up into some black people stuff? Can we please have that discussion before we start talking about the Civil Rights Act getting repealed, which is not going to happen. You'd be better off trying to repeal the Prohibition Act or the repealed version of the Prohibition. It's not going to happen, and I'm going to tell you why. Because aside from the fact that black people wouldn't like that, there's way too many woke white people in the world now. You can see that from recent protests. They're protesting black people's stuff, or that black people are supposed to be mad about, and there's a bunch of white people out there. Actually, I would venture to say in a lot of cases, it's mostly white people. So no, they're not going to repeal the Civil Rights Act. We're not going to do that. What they did was they basically said, go back to men's and women's bathrooms. Like men bathroom, women bathroom, and that's what it is. That's all this thing was. So can anybody tell me how the hell this got wrapped into some black people shit? Even on the federal government site, what is in the link? OFCCP and the /LGBT, /LGBT. Next document, /LGBT, /LGBT. Unless the damn B in LGBT is supposed to stand for black, why are we always getting pulled into this shit? And it's not even what they told me it was. This is something totally different. See, this is what I be saying. I'm glad I don't read the whole thing before I get to my people, man. I'm glad I don't read. Let me see here. Let me see something. Hold on. Since y'all want to have me out here talking about they're about to start making segregated bathrooms again. What did you read? Did you read the same shit I read? See, this is the bullshit, y'all. This is why we're here to purge the BS. We just had the media got a lot of my folks up in arms right now about this so-called rollback on this so-called Civil Rights Act, and it's not touching the Civil Rights Act, which overrides this particular acquisition that we're talking about. So nothing has changed. You cannot discriminate bathrooms and things like that on the basis of people's race. That has not changed. It's not going to change. If it does change, we'll deal with it when it gets there, but we're not going to do what else when it comes to that. We're going to talk about what's actually going on. And what's actually going on is this did not change what's really set up. This was about not letting dudes who want to be women go into the restroom. And that the contractors, federal contractors, could not operate at facilities that had those kind of setups. That's what this was saying. How is that some black shit? I don't know. I don't know. Hey, Melissa, Donald J. Plump is my favorite troll, so you got to allow him to do that. He's going to do that. So you could scorch him in the chat if you want to, but just don't. You can't. Don't take it serious. Is what I'm saying. Don't get upset with him. He just that's what he does, and that's cool. Everybody has a role in this shit. So okay, so let's back it back up. Let me back it up. All right, so we got the clause. So some posts on X claim that it lifted bans on segregated facilities, which is not really entirely true from what I'm seeing, because that's what it was. So the memo that they've been talking about, like I said, it came out in February. So why we're dealing with it at the end of March, like the shit just happened last week, I don't know. But for whatever reason, it's the story right now, so we address it. But yes, that memo was over a month old, so it wasn't even recent. So anyway, the whole thing was really more focused on this whole DEI thing and stripping the whole DEI purchasing and doing everything under the guise of DEI, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's happening. So what we need to understand right now is if you look it up, if you take the time to do the research, which I have to do because everybody sends me this shit and I know I can't just come talking. I gotta look it up so I know what I'm saying has receipts. Like y'all looking at my receipt right up here as to what was rolled back and what it actually had something to do with. It's not a black thing. We're not going back to whites only bathrooms or no shit like that. It's not rolling back the Civil Rights Act. That's not happening at this time. If that happens, we're gonna deal with that when there's a proposal to do so, but that's not what this did. So I'm just making sure that we stay focused. Instead of thinking that this is something that is not, we make sure that they don't do the something that we thought it was, okay? But if you really do the research, there is no footage of Donald Trump ever saying anything about that. And you would think, if this was really what was going on, that the news would be really big on that, especially the more left wings. You know what I'm saying? The more left wing would love to come out there and say that Donald Trump is putting people back in the segregated facilities. But what I haven't seen is a news report on it. Nobody's putting their big name on it. I've seen a couple written reports. I think I saw something on MSN. I've seen at least one or two written articles. But what I haven't seen, which I've seen with everything else that has to do with Donald Trump, is a major left news talking about something. This would be major. You understand what I'm saying? Like major news. This would be huge. So the fact that they weren't really talking about it on huge news, even though, yes, we were focused on some astronauts coming back, but they would have definitely done a story about it. They didn't. So that's what made me think something was up. Because somebody went and looked at the same thing I looked at and said, yeah, I'm not going to go do that today, because somebody will just look it up and realize that it's not what I'm saying. And so that's it. People are lying to you. That's not what happened. You can feel like it may come, or this is a sign of the time. You feel like that. But we're going to deal with that bridge when we get to it. But as far as what's already occurred, that's not what happened, folks. Okay? It is not what happened. So we got a couple of people in here. Some people are Trump supporters. Some people are not. This is an in-publicrat channel. It's not an independent channel because independents have their own party. So it's an in-the-publicrat channel. We all things but no things at the same time, okay? Everything and nothing at the same time. The omnipotent party, so to speak. So I'm looking at more information. Let's see. Let's look at the official text. I feel like I went over it before, but we're going to look at the official text. Hold on. Since everybody's talking about the memo, so we can go back to the memo, and then we're going to close it out after that, because I feel like the point has been proven that that's a false story. We didn't roll back the Civil Rights Act, and we're not going to racially segregated bathrooms, at least not from this. So we'll go back to the original memo. Hold on a second. Let's go. Let's see where this is. Bear with me a second. I have it 1 second. Where is it? Oh, that's that one. So I'm pulling up the agreements here, just making sure that we're looking at the right thing here. What was that called? It was in February. I had it over here. Hold on, let me pull it back up. I do have the name of it somewhere. Ending radical and wasteful government DEI. There we go. I definitely covered that because I remember when we started that, everybody was saying that, that was that whole merit-based, what was that? Non-discriminatory society shit. So we definitely covered this, but some people weren't here on the episode when we covered it. So let's go back to it for those that may have missed it, okay? Let me bring this on over for you. And some of y'all, if you're new, then you might not understand. But we do our research over here at Purge the BS because I don't want people to be. I don't like misplaced anger. If that makes sense. If we're going to use our energy towards something and we want to make a change, I want it to be placed in the right direction. I hate when they give us false ideas, knowing it's going to stoke some shit. And then we're stoked up, and meanwhile, they're doing something totally different that we're not paying attention to and we're not even seeing because they got us on this other shit. So that's why I have to break things down real quick. Nobody has to worry about going back to freaking racial bathrooms and all that, at least not right now. That's not what happened. They say that's what happened, but that's not what happened. So I'm telling you, they be lying to y'all all the time, and they get paid to do so. So this was the original joint. This was ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs. This is what we covered it in February. I knew this was familiar. I said, I could have sworn I already went over this. So basically, this was for the implementation of when OMB decided that they would terminate all of the discriminatory programs, including illegal DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, okay? I'm not going to read over this entire thing again because it's got a lot to it, but the basic point was rolling back DEI. So we all talked about that. Everybody was like, oh, they're rolling back DEI. All of a sudden, it's going to be this whole racial situation and black people won't be able to work anymore and they're going to get deported and da-da-da-da, right? So we see that didn't happen, right? So here we are a month later. None of that happened. And what the new story is talking about is the removal of the allowance of males to use female spaces in those federal contractors buildings or anybody that a federal contractor is working with, okay? So if you missed it, this was DEI rollback. DEI rollback said we're not going to do all of this woke stuff anymore, basically. We're not going to have men and women spaces. We're not going to have people just getting hired on the basis of the fact that they're black and not because they're qualified. That whole merit-based non-discriminatory thing. That's what this was. So this other thing that they now have us mad about literally is just a response to this. So Donald J. Plump, you are in the chat again. I understand what you're saying. There is that clause that says contractor agrees that it does not and will not maintain or provide for its employees any segregated facilities at any of its establishment, and that it does not and will not permit its employees to do whatever. Notice the term segregated facilities. So what it's saying is the contractor agrees that it does not and will not maintain or provide for employees any facilities that are specifically for specific people, right? So what that was meant to cover, which was in response to DEI, this is why I'm trying to help you understand the connection here. It was meant to cover men in women's bathrooms. That's what this was really about. And when the bathrooms are segregated by gender, that's segregation. You see what I'm saying? We always think black-white when we think the word segregation, but this was about gender segregation. So it was basically saying that they could not do work with anybody who segregated the facilities. So anybody who had men's and women's bathrooms, not men in women's bathrooms, but had specific men and women's spaces, they were not supposed to be doing business with them. That's what this is. That's what that clause is saying. So, like I said, you got to read it. And then if you really read it, it's like, well, hold on a second. If they're rolling this back, you see what I'm saying? So remember, all of this it's not about black people, okay? Now, some people are trans allies, as they call themselves, and trans activists. I'm not one of those people. So I can't speak on how trans people feel about it or anything like that. That's part of a protected class. I'm not part of that class, so I can't speak on that. What I was speaking on is the fact that black people were the ones that sent me this information and this story because they were worried about bathrooms being segregated based on race. So the point of this particular episode is to help them understand that this segregation situation really wasn't about race in the first place. So rolling it back doesn't change the racial piece because the racial piece is already covered in the Civil Rights Act. And the Civil Rights Act didn't have nothing about LGBTQ in it. So this was like a clause to add LGBT stuff to what was going on back in 2015 or so. This is 2015, so it's been there for a minute, but not forever. You see what I'm saying? So I get it. I just think that they have a different angle on it than what they're telling people. And that's why you don't see no major news media covering it. And you're right. I mean, why not have private bathrooms, guys? Like, it's the bathroom. It's a safe space to a degree. When you know what I'm saying? The bathroom is supposed to be a safe space. You can go in there and poop, pee, or cry, whatever one you want to do. You know what I'm saying? So, and Melissa, you are correct. You guys are all correct in the chat. They still have the option of doing certain things. But would they be able to do them? That's what I'm saying. Like, if a company decided, okay, we're going to change this to black and white bathrooms, how do you think that's going to go over in the public? You see what I'm saying? They got to deal with that. Then they got to deal with the backlash that comes along with that. And of course, there's going to be some hardcore neo-Nazis that are like, yeah, we don't want no chocolate in the milk or whatever they want to say, right? That shit won't last long. There's not even a lot of them anymore. The neo-Nazi types. There's a few extremists, but most people would be like, yo, that's dumb as shit. Now I got to clean this bathroom and that bathroom. And you got to spend money to create this new infrastructure again. And most people aren't going to stand by black people go pee in that bucket over there and white people go in here. I for one, will be locked up for going in the whites only bathroom. I'm telling you right now, I'll probably be down there with a lot of people, but I for one would be locked up with everybody else for using the whites only bathroom. And that would become a thing. See what I'm saying? So no, it's not going to be like that. We can calm down from that. Now, like I said, the picture and the thought can be scary, but we have to be real because reality moves 1 second per second and it doesn't stop or slow down. So if we get too stuck in virtual reality, we miss actual reality, okay? So let's come back to it. Let's come back to Earth like the astronauts did the other day. Let's not worry so much about that situation with the Civil Rights Act, or with the segregation situation, unless they start talking about the Civil Rights Act itself. Then we can have that conversation. But until then, just understand the media is trying to fluff you up so they can send you out on a suicide mission. Literally. That's what they want to do. They want you to be so pumped up and stoked up about some shit that really don't have much to do with you as an individual, if at all, that you go out there and start bombing Tesla dealerships. And like, that's dumb as shit to me. Why would I stake my life on that, right? But that's what they want you to do. It's good news. And I don't mean good news like it's a positive information. I mean, it's good for the news. They need something to cover. If everybody was getting along, they wouldn't have nothing to talk about. You see what I'm saying? If they was just like everybody was being peaceful and shit was cool, what would they talk about on the news? Puppies and, what Panda Bear gave birth and, they wouldn't have shit to talk about. Hey, y'all leave Donald J. Plump alone. He is in here to get what y'all are giving him, which is attention. So just do it kind-heartedly is all I'm saying. You know how he does it. He's similar to Donald J. Trump. He comes in and says whatever the hell he wants to say, and he doesn't care what anybody has to say about it. He's going to stand on it. Whether it's true or not doesn't really matter. It's because he said it, he has to stand on it, not because it's true. Similar to Trump. He'll stand on anything he says. It don't matter if it's true. If it's not true, he's going to stand on it. It'd be like, hey, I got that information. That's where I got it from. I'm still standing on it. That's how he is. So Donald J. Plump is the same way. Mike G's in the chat. So I guess Mike is asking of the question. You know, since we've covered the situation, right? We've covered the situation to say that this is not the rollback of the Civil Rights Act. We know this now. We've gone over the proof. We've gone over the federal documentation. We can leave that alone. But the question that Mike G's asked in the chat is, would segregation be good or bad today? Now, I don't think we can have that conversation without a full understanding of the separation of resources. Because if you segregate certain things, like the bathroom, that's nothing. But if you segregate schools, then you start to deal with, the possibility of miseducation or missed education. Possibly. But I'll be honest, when there's a basketball game, shouts to all of the college teams playing in March Madness right now. It's my favorite tournament, my favorite sports tournament. I'm not even going to tell y'all who I'm going with. I'm not even going to tell y'all who I'm going with, because then y'all will come back later and be mad at me or say I'm a sellout. I'm just going to say this is a competition right now. We're all in this competition. And every once in a while, you got to take a timeout and get the team together, and you got to talk about the next play. Like, what's the end game? What are we trying to do here, right? We know for a fact that segregation was not good the way it was done previously. We already know that. But to a degree, I believe that the black community, at minimum, because I'm part of that group, so to speak, needs a moment to take a time out and come back to the team and talk about what we're really doing. Because I'm seeing nothing but the goofy shit continuing to grow in that particular community. So the black community as a community, I'm not saying they need to segregate everything, but we need to talk. You understand what I'm saying? We need a moment away so we can talk about what the hell we doing, what the hell our kids are doing, why we have such a tough time getting children to get an education these days. We do need to talk. We do need to pull back for a second. We're all involved in social media and involved in the trends, but not involved in education. Was any of them freaking astronauts black? Nope. And I'm pretty sure there wasn't a black guy standing there in line when they were looking for their astronauts. Who was, or let me say it this way, I'm sure there wasn't a bunch of them. I'm sure there was one or two. But there's not an overwhelming amount of us getting out of high school, being in, positions where we can be successful, take care of ourselves, our family, our communities. A lot of us, it's not about the white man not giving you something. You're entitled to an education. You can get a public school education, and if you kill it at public school, you'll get a scholarship. And if you don't have a lot of money, you can even go to Harvard with free tuition and board. But you got to be killing it. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people don't even know they can go to Harvard for free. But you got to be really good to do that. You got to be able to compete. They're not going to just give it to you because you're black or whatever. So if you can understand that concept and you're going to put yourself out there and do the extra work, you will probably end up being that 1% that gets accepted. But there's nothing wrong with that. So, and that's, let me address it, because I don't believe that separate but equal, which was what they did before, ever happened. It never was equal. It was separate, but it was not equal. The resources were not evenly distributed. And that happens because you have a majority and a minority. So you have 70% of the people are one group, 10% of the people are another group. And the 70% controls industry, money, resources, federal government, you name it. So there was no way that was going to work. That's why they had to do away with it. Because you can't expect our human minds in today's world to be freaking rational no more. There's always going to be one. There's always going to be somebody that's got an ulterior motive. There's always going to be some racist white dude or some overly militant black guy that sees race in everything. Or there's always somebody in there that ain't just, that can't work with you, basically. They're going to do everything to sabotage the shit. But before we can even have that conversation, right now, schools are not segregated. And we do have a lot of us, you know, sons, inner city schools. Let me be honest here. I'm talking about like, you know, county schools, suburbs, where black people and white people live. Most of those kids have access to the same exact resources. And that group needs to be successful. Inner city kids need the funding so that they can make sure they have the resources. But why are we spending more money per capita in an inner city school when the school looks like shit and the books look like shit and none of that makes sense either? That's because there's people at the top level finding other things to do with that money. Whatever it is they're doing. I don't know if they're getting new football uniforms or what they're doing, but they find ways around that. So our kids aren't getting what they need to get. So we don't need to be worrying about separate but equal, because if we separated, we wouldn't be equal, because our kids and us, and I'm talking about black people now, we behind. How could you expect it to be equal when our leadership is behind? When the kids who are already here are already behind. So segregation, although in theory might work, I'm just going to give it to you. We got too many niggas in the pot. And if you add too much of that, it's going to be conflict. It's too much conflict. You can't tell people how to parent their kids, but you can see that, all right, this kid's missing something in this education system, and you might want to help them out, right? But if it's not equal, you can't do that. So I would love to have the separate but equal talk, but the amount of reorganizing infrastructure that would take to even happen, it's too much of a convo. And nobody would vote to fund something like that. Congress would never vote to fund something like that. The Democrats would never vote to fund something like that. They'll make sure they filibuster some shit like that. So separate but equal ain't gonna happen, okay? But what needs to happen is we need to separate from the bullshit and start to put our kids on equal footing with these other kids, man. And I'm not just talking about black kids, but me personally, I only have black children, okay? Like, you know, everything that I've done in life, for some weird reason, I could only create black children. So because of that, that's who I'm talking about. But in this, we have to remember that we have a responsibility to our own selves, regardless of what Trump is doing, regardless of what Elon Musk is doing. If your kid is failing in high school, what the hell does that have to do with Trump? See what I'm saying? They didn't start because he got elected. That's what's going on in your life, in our lives. If our kids are reading at 30% of what they should be reading at, why is that? Let's talk about that. You see what I'm saying? So we can have this whole racial discussion, but it's kind of like we can't expect anybody to respect the house if we disrespecting the house. Like if we're pissing in the front yard of our own house and somebody else walks up and starts pissing in the front of the yard and we're like, hey, you can't piss here. And they're like, well, you're pissing here. That's how it feels. That's how it looks to me. It's like we can't talk about that because even without these protections, our kids are failing anyway. And until we address that shit, it doesn't matter about these protections because they was going to fail anyway. So when are we going to have a real conversation? And I'm sorry, I'm smoking my stogie, but I deal with this because I have a very similar personal situation. I can't figure out how to educate my youngest children. in the way that I want them to be educated. And it's not really as much their fault as it is a whole process problem. The amount of communication between the teachers, the way that they deal with the schoolwork. There's so many issues that I as a parent have that don't get heard because I'm not the bureaucracy of the school. And my kid's only going to be there for a couple years, so they can give me to run around for a few years and eventually I'll disappear, right? I've been going through this for a while, so I understand that. But what I don't understand is why we aren't having the conversation about the children's education and what it's missing. We can say they're not reading. Okay, great. Why are they not reading well? Because you got them with their phones in their hands all day. Okay, so why they have their phones in their hands? Because we do have a rule about cell phones, but the kids don't follow it. Okay, well, why are the kids not following it? Because every time we take the cell phones, the parents get mad that we took their cell phones because cell phones are expensive. Oh, so it's a parenting issue that extends into the school because you don't want to talk to the parents about the parents giving the kid the cell phone and the fact that the kid can't have the cell phone in school. I'll tell you what, I've seen a couple of private schools, they don't play about that shit. I've seen this one private school, you literally put your phone in a lockbox. And if your parents need to get in touch with you or something, they just call the school, and the school will do whatever they need to do to get in touch with you. But during the day, that shit be in the lockbox so that you can get what you came to get. So, Pancakes, thanks for stopping in the chat and having the conversation. And I'm glad that y'all are having that convo because it's really about education at the end of the day. We could talk about politics all day, but that shit don't mean nothing if you're uneducated. If your kids aren't getting an education and they're out here just in the world trying to survive, they're not going to really have much to do with politics. And that politics ain't gonna have much to do with them unless there's certain changes in the tax code. And most of the changes in the tax code have to do with your income. So that's not racially based. It's just how much do you make versus how much you're not making. And I'm all for that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, if you make a lot, you get this break. If you don't make this, you get that. Granted, there's more people of certain races that make that amount. But whose fault is that really at this point? If our kids aren't getting an education, yes, you might fight with the school a little bit, but whose fault is that really? It's parents' fault. I said it. If your kids are failing out of everything and they're in school and shit, it's your fault. And you got to deal with that. So, like I said, I'm all for the politic talk. But if we want to make real change for the future, it starts with education. Like the whole cutting the budget or cutting the federal Department of Education should have been a more major concern. I brought it up over here on the podcast, but I also explained that some of that education is just fluff. Like you have your kid on an IEP and they're supposed to get all these tools and shit and they're still failing. How are you failing how is a kid failing when you're supposed to be paying attention to him all the time? Doesn't make sense. But that do be happening. Then you ask the question and you want to go like check on your kid, right? Let me tell y'all this. This is crazy for anybody that hasn't had a kid on an IEP, at least recently. They will literally make you set up a escort with a case manager for you to go drop in on your kid. Like, does that make sense to y'all? I want to see if my kid's failing. He's not doing well. I want to go in. I want to drop in. I want to see what's going on real time in class. I'm off for work today or whatever it is, right? And I need to basically check on them, right? Nope, you can't just pop in on your kids no more. Not if they're on no IEP, which is interesting to me. You can't pop up. You got to set up an appointment. You got to have a case manager like walk around with you. Like it's a whole thing, like they keep your kid sort of hostage in the program. And you don't have free access to them like you might want, which is weird as shit to me. But that's an education problem. That's because nobody's talking about that shit. And so it just goes on from year to year, and we wonder why we don't have our kids educated. We wonder why a lot of these parents don't even get involved in their kids' education because they got to go through too much just to be in the school. Just to stop by the school, you got to go through a bunch of red tape. And granted, that is because somebody messed up before. Somebody kidnapped a kid or whatever they did that made them put those extra rules in. But at some point, somebody messed up, and that's why we go through this. But why are we not talking about that? You want these kids educated, you cut the kids out from the education, you put them on this stupid IEP thing, and then you're worrying about what? Segregated bathrooms? What about the fact that they're not even getting out of high school with a 9th grade reading level? Whose fault is that? Is that the school's fault? Is that the parents' fault? Is that everybody's fault? That's the conversation, though. Because you know an uneducated person has a much lower chance of success in this world. And I don't mean no straight A students. I mean uneducated. Can't read, doesn't do math. Yeah, every once in a while you'll have a freaking idiot savant that gets through something like that. You know, they can't read, but they come up with awesome poetry or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Every once in a while you get one of those lottery winners. But for the most part, the lack of education is what fuels people being unsuccessful. Even the Bible says our people die for lack of knowledge. Information is power. You've heard the quotes. So if we're not focused on the education first, that's the baseline, then who cares about politics? See what I'm saying? Who gives a fuck? Who cares about a bathroom? If I can't have any kid come out of a school and graduate on reading level. So until we're willing to have a real conversation about what segregation did or did not do, and education did or did not do, then I'm not even worried about no executive orders when it comes to anything. It might be a good thing. I don't know. But whatever we've been doing ain't working is all I'm saying. And if this situation is new, we got to take it with a grain of salt and deal with each thing and compartmentalize it as we go forward. One thing at a time, one day at a time, one issue, conquer that issue, move on to the next one. This is not going to be done overnight. Whatever Trump is doing is not going to happen overnight. All of this shit is navigatable, if that's even a word. But you know what I mean. But there's no point in trying to navigate some shit in a political world if we can't even navigate getting our kids a decent education in this world. I had to give that a moment of silence so you can think about it. Are you ready to have that conversation? I see Mike G's in the chat ready to have that conversation. I see Brandy J in the chat ready to have that conversation. I see Donald J. Plump is still trolling in the conversation. I see these things, and I'm glad to see it. Because this is really what the conversation is. It's real nice that Elon Musk shoots off rockets and goes and picks people up in space. But I want my kids to be the ones helping to make the rockets. I don't want to be mad at him that he went and got the people from the space. And our kids aren't in that position. Why not? Is it by design? Is it because the white man kept it all from you? Is it because we have screwed up morals and principles and we're passing on generational curses of welfare minding and poor financial management? I don't know. It could be all of the above. But the point is, if we're not having that conversation, there will be no solution. And you can cry until you're fucking blue in the face about equality, but if you're not even competing on that level, then you don't get that. And I can't complain about something being racially motivated, like they didn't hire you because of race, if you're not at the competition level. So we need to focus on making sure the kids are at the competition level. Then we can hold Trump accountable or whoever accountable for this, merit-based, non-discriminatory shit if we don't see it actually happen. But right now, our kids aren't merit-based at a high enough level to be able to compete, and that's what we were worried about. And we can't change that. So what we have to do is figure out how we can make sure they can compete. Because other than that, you're just freaking blowing smoke. You're just talking trash. You know what the problem is. The problem is these kids aren't educated. And maybe it's because of the internet. Maybe it's because of video games. I don't know because it's not specific. I can't be specific because there's a lot of factors in it. But we, as the next generation, the X, Generation X, that, and maybe Y a little bit because they're right behind X, and even the Gen Zs who now have kids, and the millennials who now have kids. That's like 340. Jesus, I'm old. Anyway, all of them have a responsibility. But the first responsibility is to purge the bullshit. Because once you remove all of that fat, then you can get to the real meat. Just like they have us over here worrying about bathroom segregation. Meanwhile, we got another class of kids getting ready to graduate that aren't reading at the right levels. That'll be graduating in May of this year, all over the United States. Going all the way out into the world with half a fucking education. And we worrying about a bathroom right now. And that wasn't even what it was about. So stop letting them pull you over here when the real problem and the real truth is right there in front of you. It's right down the street at your local school. It's right there in your community. It's not in the bathroom at a federal contractor site. I know it's tough to hear. I know we want to just be mad at shit. We want to be mad at Elon. We want to be mad at that. It's too external. It's too external. We want to be mad about them rolling back segregation. Well, I told y'all that's not really what's happening. I showed you the proof. So get past that shit so we can purge some more BS. Because that was BS. That was bullshit. See what I'm saying? So I'm not going to allow nobody to keep telling me some shit that if I know that's not 100% true. That's not really what happened. And I can't allow people to just keep walking forward in the world with bad information, man. Angry at the wrong thing. And while they're angry at the wrong thing, the people on the right are taking advantage of the fact that you're paying attention to the wrong shit. You see what I'm saying? So don't be mad when you get left behind because you was worrying about Elon Musk when you should have been worrying about your kids' education. Don't be mad about not being able to compete when you was in Cabo and your kid was left in the house for 3 weeks and didn't have access to their technology to do their work and got a bunch of failing ass grades. Don't be mad when you out all night at the club and you wonder why your kid's not getting no sleep because they're up because you ain't there and so they stay up all night. Don't be mad about none of this other shit if that's the life you live. And if your focus ain't on the next generation, like if you're anything over 25, 26 at this point in life, you need to be looking at what's coming behind you. The ones coming behind us are the ones that are going to help us when we get too old to take care of ourselves. So I can't have the next couple generations be on some bullshit because then when I get too old to deal with it, they might be on some crazy stuff and mess the whole situation up before I get out of here. And I don't want that. I want nothing but progress from all people going forward. I do want world peace because that shit is annoying to be hearing about kids getting blown up. Like, why are we doing that? Because there's minerals under the ground? That doesn't make sense to me. But that's what they feed us. They got me not liking people in Ukraine and Russia. I ain't never been to Ukraine or Russia. Why don't I like them? They ain't never hurt nobody in my family that I know of. They never came over and stole nothing from me. All the people that do stuff like that look like me. So that means I need to be more focused on the people that look like me and fixing those issues. Then maybe we can talk about overseas. I don't want to hear that shit no more. That's stupid. I mean, I'll listen to the stories, but I'm not going to have an in-depth conversation about it because who cares? What I care about is the fact that we're not paying attention to what's going on right here. We got millions of dollars being found, per se, but ain't nobody putting that shit into homelessness. Wasn't even a talk about it. The first thing they said was, we're going to give it to everybody else. All my taxpayers, which is fine. I'll take that. Give me $5,000, I'll take it. But the point I'm trying to make is we're being swindled. We're being bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray by storylines. I can't even blame mainstream media only anymore because a lot of times it's us on the freaking YouTube and shit. We get the little taste of something and we want to get some clicks because the algorithm is only nice when it feels like being nice, especially if it thinks you're on some controversial shit. So we get these clicks. We get it together. But the point is, why let people sit around and be angry about some shit that don't matter or isn't really happening? I can't, with a good conscience, do that to my people. I can't. and I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not waiting on Elon Musk to send me money. Seems like it would be a bad idea to wait on Elon Musk to send you money. But I'm telling y'all, you've been bamboozled. There's a whole internet thing going on. I got people angry about this segregated bathroom thing. And I said, well, let me see what they're talking about. Come to find out it's not even that. So why would they do that to y'all? That's what frustrates me. I'm like, why would they do that to my folks? Why would they tell people this shit knowing that's not really what that is? Why not say what it is and let people make their own decision? Why not really be honest about what you were talking about? It wasn't even about black and white. It was about LGBTQ stuff and men in women's bathrooms. That's really what it was about. They just had to put all that other language in there because just in case you decided to do that, we had to put that shit in there. So I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. I saw the downfall of black society, and it came through education. What we were using our brains to take in. It did have something to do with the music, but it wasn't just the music itself. It was cutting off the opportunities or options for music. So when we were coming up, there was a lot of different types of rap. You had like your conscious rap, you had your like underground rap, you had your third eye type rap, you know, like the spiritual knowledge type rap. You had that, which was different than conscious rap. It's similar but a little bit different. You had your like horrorcore, if you remember that, like the Grave Diggers and stuff like that. There was so many different options for the sounds that you could take in your ears. Somebody grabbed a hold of that and said, let's give them one sound and push it to them and let them stay there. And that's where we got killing and drug dealing, and that's it, and bitches and hoes. That's it. That's when they started cussing in R&B songs. Remember, there was a time you wasn't cussing in no R&B song. Like we was singing, wasn't no singing and cussing. It was just singing, and then the cussing was in the rap song. Then all of a sudden that made a turn, and you could call people bitches and hoes and say all types of nasty shit in an R&B song. But back in the day, R&B was like some love music. You was trying to marry a woman or at least date her. You were trying to show some respect. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, that's not what we were doing. So we started feeding ourselves, my generation included, and then every generation after it with the same thing. And you've already heard them say within 4 generations, you can screw up an entire culture. And 4 generations just takes 4 decades. You give 4 straight generations bad information and bad ideas, guarantee it'll take them another 250 years to get their mindset out of it. And that's what they did. As much as I love hip hop, as much as I love rap, I saw it when it happened, and I looked back and I was like, why is there no other option? And the only other option is you got to go dig for that shit on like Instagram, and maybe you'll happen to find somebody in a reel or something that has like a hot flow. Like there's this dude, you know, I know some of y'all might not be into like Christian rap, but you got to check out, of course, my man Russ Shanks, but you got to check out this dude, Gifted Hands. This dude is rap-wise, oh, he's nice. He's nice, but he might not get the push he's going to need because 1, he's disabled, and 2, he's spitting positive, you know, God-centered rap. But I'm trying to tell you, Gifted Hands is nasty. Look him up if you haven't heard some of that stuff. I'm gonna bring some of his clips up when I do the Russ Shanks episode, because we're gonna get into hip-hop alternatives and where things may have taken a turn. But that's 2 or 3 weeks from now. I'll make sure to let y'all know. But I'm serious, guys. If you're not against hearing about God, like if you're not one of those people, check out the dude Gifted Hands. He's very talented. And just, like I said, he's disabled, but when you hear him rap, you're like, oh my God, that his rap style ain't disabled at all. Whatever he's lacking in ability, God gave it to him as something else, and he's thankful for it, which makes it really good. So if he can be happy about it, and he's disabled, yeah, if you know what I'm talking about. I see a couple of y'all jumping in there. Y'all know who I'm talking about. But is he getting that push? Nope. Does he get to do a Super Bowl or even conceive doing one? Nope. Is he on the radio? At least where you are, not where I'm at. Ain't heard not one song outside of on the internet. And this shit is hot. But because of the aesthetics, the optics, he's going to remain stuck. So if we're not pushing those kind of things and those kind of musics and all that, we can't be upset when our 4-year-olds know the words to songs like WAP, if that's all we playing around them. You know what I'm saying? So we can't worry about what Trump is doing if that's what we're doing to our kids. Like, how can I be worried about politics and I ain't even taking care of my shit? And I'm talking about my kids. This is their world next, right? So if I'm not taking care of them, knowing that they're about to come out into a world that is not going to give a fuck that their father wasn't there or that their mother was an alcoholic or any of those things, the world is not going to care on this next generation. They're not going to care about the COVID kids and the fact that they missed a couple years of education. None of that. They are going to be hard on these kids. The next 5 years or so of graduates, they're going to have a tough time. And it's already started with all the kids that were in late high school when COVID happened. So now here we are, and I'm watching this culminate to the point where all I see every day is kids fighting in school, kids stealing cars. Not saying this shit didn't happen before. It's just, it seems like there's way more of it now. It's the kids, man. And I can't just blame the children. They don't raise themselves. They're introduced to an environment. And if you create an environment that's not conducive with education for your child, then your child's education not being complete is your fault. Can't blame Trump for that shit. Can't blame Trump for little Johnny not being able to read over a freaking 4th grade level and he's in 11th grade. So I'm going to get out of here, guys. But it has been real. I thank you, everybody that's been sending me clips, content. Keep that shit coming. Don't forget to send stuff on the Reddit as well. We got the Reddit feed, which is just r/Purge the BS. You can post stuff in there, become part of that community. That's where we can get a little more raunchy as far as the content, because, you know, and then I'll cut it from there and then bring it here when I can, because YouTube is very sensitive about a lot of this shit. I know I'm going to get hit for something on this episode. I get hit on every episode, every last one of them, to the point where I just wait for it, waiting for the email. So, nonetheless, guys, I'm going to give my shouts. Make sure that you guys share the live, support the show. Tomorrow is Purge the BS 2nd birthday. So we will be running lives all day. Different types of lives. It might be a live. It'll be a best of episodes that y'all, you know, a lot of y'all newer subscribers missed the first year when we were doing, we were definitely getting in trouble that first year. And I want to share some of that with y'all. But I'm going to close out with this. Basically, it would be amazing, like Mike G's just said in the chat, if we could get everybody to focus on their immediate reality instead of the global virtual signaling, anger, what do they call it? Targeted outrage. And it's so obvious the way that they do it. So once you see it and you're like, all right, I see what y'all are doing, and I'll watch it like a television show. And when the show is over, another show will come on. See what I'm saying? We need to be focused on what's happening right where we are. Look around. Look at your community. What can you actually do to help the next group have a better option than you? If you think it's all so bad and the U.S. is so bad, what can you do to actually change it? Because if all you're going to do is just sit around and complain about Donald Trump and Elon Musk for the next 3 or 4 years, you're not helping the problem at all. As a matter of fact, you're making it worse. You're one of those people I don't want to talk to because they're not about solutions. You're just talking about problems. You're running on a problem, just like one Donald Trump did. Hillary Clinton said it. He's running on a problem. He did. He picked every problem that was going on and ran on those things, and now he's in office. So how about we start looking at some problems that we can try to fix, and maybe we can get some support from other people in this community, and I'm talking about Purge the BS and like the regular folks, and we can all start having a good time trying to make sure our kids are taken care of. So, guys, it's been real. But I'm going to tell you right now, one last phrase. If you are out here in the world on some goofy shit, that's the bullshit.